Hi, Shorna. Thank you so much for being here. This is awesome. We're talking to Shorna today, who's currently living in the UK, I believe. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm living back in the UK.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. And first of all, I'd love to ask what topic you're sharing with us today.
So I'm talking about slowing down.
I love
Yeah, just as simple as slowing down. That's it, really.
Yeah. And so why do you find slowing down, why do you think that could be helpful for our health and well-being?
I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that we don't think about doing, and we have to, we have to consciously think about slowing down to make the most of the things that we're doing. Right? We spend so much time rushing around and from here to there, rushing with life. It's Monday. Oh, it's Monday again, and it's Monday again. And do you know what I mean? It's like, so isn't it just? It's like, oh, it's Monday, back to work. So, and we get sick. Eventually it kind of catches up with us. And, some people earlier or later than others, but it does kind of catch up with us. And I think it's a really important part of life, so that you can learning to slow down, so that you can learn to relax and not get stressed. Everything's still going to be there. Everyone's still going to be there. Everything's still good. That's it's something that's important to me.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I hear the process and the feeling behind what you're saying. So when you mentioned eventually we get sick, or eventually something breaks down in us, do you have a story maybe to share with us that has brought you to that? Like, what brought you to knowing? Did you always know to move kind of slow, or did something bring you to that moment?
No, I never knew it from the beginning. It was definitely a learning process, probably by the time I hit like late 30s. So pretty late. Yeah, I mean, I was always about, I wanted to achieve everything from a really young age. I had a set time when I wanted to, I had all my babies planned, they were going to be 3 years apart. I was going to start early, and you know what I mean? Everything was planned, and it was going to be boom, 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 go to university, get married, buy a house, have kids, all of that kind of stuff. And I think
enter life.
Right. Right. So and everything was really kind of fast and paced and on a time schedule. It had to be, and that's kind of stressful, because if things don't work out like how you want them to, it's stressful. You're trying to get to a certain place by a certain time. Yeah, with me, like I got sick, not necessarily from being so fast paced, but from, I don't know, from life and things happening, and not taking my time with things. So always wanting things when I wanted them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I eventually got to a point where I had to kind of learn to slow down. 30s is what I said, right? It was when I was in the States, just before we came back. So right near the end, after all my journey, it's like, oh, I need to slow down.
So you moved to the States and you had a baby, and he was quite young when you moved, is that?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I had him, when we were in London.
Yeah.
We moved there when he was just turning 3.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you were working as well?
I was working before I got pregnant.
Yeah.
I got sick.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got married pretty young. I got married at the age of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Found my hubby at college, and it was like, okay, let's get married. So it was quite stressful because he was from a Christian home and I'm from a Muslim home. Yeah. So parents, mostly on my side, they were, not happy with it. It was a bit of a struggle, but I kind of wasn't patient enough with them to come to terms with it. And I was like, we're getting married and that's it. And that was it. you know. So we got married, you know, two 21-year-olds. Don't tell a 21-year-old ever what to do, because they will never listen to you. I know that now. So yeah, so you know, it was wonderful, but also at the same time it was stressful, because I was always like stuck in between mum and dad and my hubby, and trying to always please them both, and trying to always have them come to a compromise about certain things, you know. And I guess it affected me a lot more than I imagined it would. And eventually I got sick, and I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. So it's where you have ulcers all in your colon, large colon. It got so bad. I was on drugs. I was on steroids for a long time. And then it got so bad that they said, nothing else is going to work for you. You need to take your entire colon out. So the whole of my large intestine was removed when I was 27, when my son turned 1. So yeah, it was pretty dramatic, you know. I didn't even know at the time that it was due to stress, you know. We didn't know. Nobody knew the answers at that time, that many years ago. And I think I eventually, when I did a lot of research around it and health and everything else, I realized, oh my God, it was actually due to all the stress that I was experiencing in my life at the time. Yeah, so that happened. And now I have no large colon. And yeah, we moved to the States when Aaron was nearly 3, and thinking that we were going to maybe, you know, live a more relaxed, kind of slower paced life, and see where that took us. It wasn't slow pace. I mean, it was in a sense, it was definitely, living there was a slower pace of life, but we were living still fast paced in a slow paced kind of world, if you know what I mean. And it wasn't until the very end that I learned how to slow down. So 9 years later, I learned how to slow down.
Yeah. And it's often the way, isn't it? A message that we need to learn, or something, you know, yeah, just something that we need to learn. It can often take a long time and a lot of lessons to learn that. And also because we don't know, like you said, there wasn't study to say that stress caused those things, or stress was a major impactor. So, whoa, what a you know, that's a lot. That's a big journey to be on, and with such a young baby, I can imagine it being really hectic. And then thankfully you did come out the other side and became well again, and learned through slowing down and various health things. I know you studied nutrition and yoga and meditation since then. But what about I know your background was in psychology. So how did that play, working in that area, working in the area of helping in that area? How did that play a role also on adding to the stress that you were going through?
So, you know, I studied psychology, went into working in mental health, a very stressful field. Wonderful, very satisfying when you can help people, but also stressful. So I think the most hardest of all was working with depression, working with clients who had depression. That was, from everything else, psychosis, schizophrenia, whatever, I found depression the hardest to deal with, because there is absolutely nothing there's nothing you can do. It's only so much you can do, you know, helping people. So yeah, it was stressful. And then from there I took a break, and that's when I got pregnant with my son. And when I was in the States, I was moved on to study forensic criminology, and I was volunteering in a prison, which I absolutely loved doing, you know. So again, that was helping people in challenging situation, you know. There were it was workshops with alternatives to violence. So people who'd suffered, or rather experienced, violence and maybe committed violent crimes, but they were willing to change. So I was working with them. First I had to train myself, and get trained up myself, and then I helped them. So it was really intense, so rewarding, but really intense. And yeah, eventually I thought, I did take a break. I did 3 years of that, and I was like, I was always bringing the stuff back home. In my mind, I was constantly thinking about, the people I left back inside. They were inside, and now I was outside. And again, there's only so much I can do. So yeah, and I think I started to do some research into my own well-being and everything, and kind of shifted from, yes, helping others and still loving others and still taking care of others, but also not forgetting about me, and I have to be good too. I have to be okay too.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, when you speak to being busy and jobs being so rewarding, it often can feel like that. When our jobs are rewarding and we love what we do, it can be really, we often just don't know to take a break from it and or slow down to be able to sustain that giving and that sense of helping and doing better in the world in a way. So, coming back to the topic of slowing down and self-care, when you say slowing down, I know there's going to be some people listening to this. It's like, I don't want to slow down. I'm doing everything that I want to be doing, and this slowing down is nonsense. So, what exactly do you mean by slowing down? I mean, I know you don't mean like walking slowly. So, what do you mean by when you say slowing down? What are the various areas we could slow down in life, or things that we could do to slow down?
Well, it really doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't have to be big, major changes in your life, they can start by really little things, like, taking your time when you're eating your food, sitting down when you're eating your food. Don't stand up, like sit down, take your time, enjoy your meal, chew your food, chew it 20 times before you swallow it. Think about the flavors. Turn off your TV. Don't. A lot of the times we're like watching the TV and we're stuffing our faces or trying to work and eat at the same time. Taking those lunch kind of working lunch breaks and everything. And so really taking the time and spending those few minutes with your food in silence. You don't even have to talk to anybody. So just take your time with your food. That's one thing. If you are with people, if you are with your family, turn the TV off, turn off your phone or put it aside and have a conversation with your family, catch up on what's going on, what's been going on in their day. And, just, it should be more loving, right? So that's one kind of aspect of slowing down.
And what sort of effect would that have on us?
When I studied nutrition, I found out how important it was to actually slow down with your eating and how that affects your digestive system. And me, with having all the tummy troubles that I had with, it really, how you eat and how you chew your food, how you digest them, basically. So if you're rushing your food down, you're probably not chewing your food and it's all in there, and your gut's having to work twice as hard to kind of break down your foods. And then that's going to have an impact on you. So really, what I found was the more you kind of slow down, chew your food, enjoy your food, it helps you in digesting it better, and then you feel a lot better physically.
Fantastic.
Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing. So breathing is another thing. We're doing it all the time, right? But how are we not always consciously breathing? So we're not thinking about the way we breathe in and the way we breathe out. We're just kind of doing it to live and to move. And I find that when you really do it doesn't have to be all day, you don't have to be doing it constantly, but you just spend a few minutes a day, just thinking about how you're breathing. That's slowing down. You're in a traffic jam, breathe. Do you know what I mean? You can be so stressful, I need to get somewhere, whatever, but you're not going anywhere. And so if you're in a traffic jam, you're not going anywhere.
I will be.
Right, you're not going anywhere. So just, relax, you
So
know.
for someone just getting started, that maybe doesn't know any breathing like techniques, or do you have one or two that they could start with?
What do you mean, like when you're
Yeah, one or
like the
two
actual?
ways of breathing. Like, are we just focusing on our breath, or are we taking?
Yeah, I think just basically just forgetting about everything just for a few moments. Don't think about what's going on, everything that's going on around you. Turn everything off. You can be in silence. You can have some meditative music on, whatever works for you. Just sit in a really comfortable position, and then just start to breathe and think about your breathing. You know, so take big, long, deep inhales. You know, really deep ones, and then real deep, long exhales. And you'll start to feel yourself slowing down just from that, because your heart rate will slow down, everything will slow down. So yeah, really, it's really simple. It doesn't have to be complicated at all. It don't have to have a big setup or anything, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and just some other things, just like you know, in Spain, for instance, they have like the siestas, the afternoon siestas, where everything shuts down. You know, you can't. There's nothing is open, so you have no choice but to go home and slow down. You know, so right. So I think those kind of things, like going on a holiday, on a vacation somewhere like that, would be really good. If you can't live somewhere that's really slow paced, you know, then definitely taking a vacation. It doesn't have to, if you're living in a fast-paced environment, you know, go somewhere completely opposite, and you know, take that time to, you know, slow down. So yeah, that's a few things there. Then there's obviously practicing some gentle yoga. We're always doing like um, lots of people are doing fast, kind of strong workouts all the time, you know. And even with yoga, you can, you know, you can have the energized yoga and everything, but even like just incorporating some gentle yoga where you don't have to be moving in particular ways, or necessarily doing handstands or anything like that. Just some gentle, simple moves and stretches, and spend some time in the moment. That's a really good way of kind of slowing down, I found.
Yeah, fantastic. That's all amazing. So, I can sort of feel the way you explain it, that we know slowing down would be good for us. And so, what would you say is maybe uh, the most important thing for somebody to do? Somebody that's feeling maybe overwhelmed or a little bit stressed in their life, or they know that things are building up or piling up, and maybe the calendar is looking very full. Do you have any ideas of how they could maybe free up some of that time, uh, or you know, what would be the first thing for them to do?
I think really it's not always about you know, sometimes it's hard for people to let go of, you know, the commitments, and they don't want to be less committed to things that they've planned, and they feel like they might not have time to kind of slow down at all. It's a scary word, you know. It's a scary thought for people who are like constantly on the go, to think of slowing down. No way, I can't, I don't have the time. But you know, just a few things that we talked about, which is taking that time. You know, it's kind of like self-care, isn't it? So you taking out some time for yourself, and just a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, and that's going to help. You know, just, I think just implementing those few things will help you to kind of relax and slow down. I think everything really kind of happens naturally from there. You start to feel good. You start to feel the benefits of taking that time for yourself. It doesn't have to be a full hour. You know, it doesn't have to be, okay, I can't afford 1 hour of a massage therapy or something like that. It doesn't have to be such a big commitment. It can be just those few tiny little things, you know. Even, for example, when you are you in the morning, you wake up, you need a shower, you know, take a few minutes extra. It's okay, you know. It's nothing to feel guilty about, and you'll feel absolutely fabulous afterwards, right? So you know, just those few extra moments, you know, turn up the heat a little bit, you know, and just enjoy it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're really little things. It's all the things that we do anyway in our day. It's just taking a little bit of extra time doing them,
Yeah,
just a little bit.
that's so beautiful. And so, Shorna, I know you're coaching now and health coaching, right? And guiding in London. So
Mhm.
people, if they want to find you either for yoga classes or for some health coaching, where can they find you? You've got a website, right?
Mhm.
Yes. What's
Feelingfabulous.org.
feelingfabulous.org? I love it.
Feelingfabulous.org, yeah.
Okay.
And so that's my website.
There's going to be people reaching out to you to feel fabulous.
Yeah.
I really think your story and your journey is beneficial to so many, and will be just a really, really wonderful thing. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
being
having
here,
me.
doing the amazing work that you do. That's really, really, really special.
Yeah.
So I will leave. We'll leave links to the website and
Mhm.
the Instagram.
Okay.
And we're just looking forward to hearing back from people on how they go on slowing down and how it can help them. Maybe one thing would be great would be if you commented below with how you're going to slow down according to Shorna's tips. Maybe share some tips, and maybe you have some tips of your own that you want to add in there. That'd be great. So thank you, Shorna.
Thank
So much.
you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous because I'm not really. I haven't really done it. I'm not really good with videos.